Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, we'll get our hands dirty with installing Ansible. Today, we'll be covering the installation process on two popular Linux distributions, Ubuntu and Red Hat. But before we dive into the installation process, it is essential to understand the different versions of Ansible you can install and why that matters. We'll also touch on how to extend your Ansible installation with collections using Ansible Galaxy. So by the end of this video, you will be fully equipped to set up Ansible on your own system. Ansible comes in two flavors, Ansible Core and the full Ansible. Ansible Core is like the engine of a car without all those fancy add ons. It includes the fundamental tools you need to run automation tasks like playbooks and modules, but without the extra collections and plugins that come with the full version. If you are someone who wants to start small, build out custom collections, or fine tune your own environment, this is the version you might choose. On the other hand, Ansible full version is like a car with all those extras already installed. It includes Ansible Core plus many pre-built collections, modules, and plugins that cover a wide range of automation tasks right out of the box. This version is ideal if you want to hit the ground running without worrying about manually installing individual components later on. Let's understand the key differences between these two versions. As I mentioned earlier, Ansible Core is the minimalist version containing only the essential components. The Ansible full version, on the other hand, includes additional collections, modules, and the plugins for broader functionality. Now, let's say you opt for Ansible Core but later decide you need additional collections or modules. This is where Ansible Galaxy comes into the play. Ansible Galaxy is an online repository that allows you to download and install collections that are not included by default in Ansible Core. For example, if you are working on network automation and need specific collections for Cisco devices or other vendors, you can install them from Ansible Galaxy using a simple command. We'll demonstrate this after this installation. Now, in terms of size, Ansible Core is lightweight, suitable for user who wants a streamlined setup they can customize. In contrast, Ansible Full is larger and designed for users who prefer an out-of-the-box solution with a broader range of tools. For instance, the Ansible.builtin.debug module or Ansible built-in copy modules are already included in Ansible Core as one of its core modules. Whereas Ansible Full also includes collections like Cisco.ios, Nexus, Arista in addition to the core modules. Okay, so let's start installing Ansible on Ubuntu first. Ubuntu is one of the most popular Linux distributions out there, and installing Ansible on Ubuntu is quick and easy. For this demo, we'll install the full Ansible package, but you can choose to install Ansible Core and extend it later. Let's quickly log into our Ubuntu machine. This is our control node 1. I'll open a terminal. Let's quickly check the hostnamectl information. As you can see, currently we are running Ubuntu 24.04 LTS version, and it is running on top of VMware Workstation. This is the official documentation for installing Ansible on Ubuntu. We'll go through the step-by-step process, but before we start, let's quickly check if Ansible is already installed on this machine or not. So I'll do a quick Ansible version. So as you can see, currently Ansible is not installed. So first, let's update our system's package list to ensure that we are working with the latest information. So I'll do a quick sudo apt update. Okay, so next we'll install the software properties common package to manage our repositories. Now then we'll add the Ansible PPA, the personal package archive, to our system. This step will add the Ansible repository to your system and automatically update the package list. So let's quickly run this command. Now finally we can install Ansible. As we are running, as we are installing the full version, so that's why we have used only the Ansible. Otherwise, if you are going to install Ansible core version, then instead of Ansible, you can use Ansible-core. Okay, so Ansible is installed. Let's quickly check the Ansible version. So as you can see, we are running Ansible 2.17.6 on this machine. Now let's install Ansible on Red Hat. Red Hat is very common choice in enterprise environment, and the steps here are a bit different from Ubuntu because Red Hat uses yum or DNF for package management. So let's quickly log into our Red Hat machine. Later on this course, I'll use this control node 2 for our AWX or Ansible Tower examples. Let me open a terminal. So I'm using Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9.4 on this machine, and this is also running on top of VMware Workstation. So as you can see, currently we are not running any Ansible on this system. So before we install, we need to check if Apple I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing correctly or not, but the full form is extra packages for enterprise Linux is already available or not. Because what happens sometimes Apple's may be pre-configured but not installed. So let's try listing all the available repositories first. So I'll use sudo dnf repo list all. And we'll look for any repositories related to Apple. So I'm not seeing any repo for that. So what we can do, we can use the manual method. So basically, if the Apple release package is not available through DNF, then we can try installing manually it by downloading the appropriate RPM package. So we'll install sudo dnf install, then the Apple release latest, and this is for rel 9. So after installing the Apple release, we need to ensure that DNF cache is updated. So we'll run sudo dnf clean all and then sudo dnf make cache. Okay, now finally we can install Ansible. So we'll use sudo dnf install Ansible. Let's quickly check the version. So we have installed 2.14.17 on this machine. So this completes the installation of Ansible on Red Hat as well. So far we have covered installing the full version of Ansible on both Ubuntu and Red Hat. Next we'll set up an Ubuntu EC2 instance in AWS where we'll create few Python virtual environments and try out different versions to explore the differences between Ansible Core and the full version. If you already have Ansible set up in your network, you might encounter an older version as well. As a reminder, starting from version 2.10 only, Ansible introduced separate Ansible Core and Ansible full version. So we'll be doing a demo on how to install older versions to understand how it looks like. Now let's quickly launch an EC2 instance. So I have already created a key pair. I'll give it a name AWS Ansible control node. We'll use Ubuntu. Instance type T2 micro is fine. And this is also free tier eligible. Anyway, this is just for demo. We are not going to use this particular instance for our lab. So we'll use this key pair Ansible hyphen key. For network settings, we don't need to do any changes. We just need SSH traffic to be allowed. That is already allowed, so that's fine. Default settings are all good. So we can launch instance. So our instance is running. Let's quickly try to log in using that SSH key pair. So I have the key pair on this machine. Default username is Ubuntu. Okay, so we are able to log into the system. Now quickly check if Ansible is by default installed or not. So Ansible is not installed. Now before we proceed, let's quickly do a sudo apt update. So till now we have used to install Ansible on Ubuntu and DNF for Red Hat. Now you can also install Ansible using pip, which is part of Python 3. So for that, we need to install the Python 3 pip package first. So we'll do sudo apt get install Python 3 pip. Now once pip is installed, then we'll install the virtual env package as well. Okay, so pip is installed. Now let's install virtual env. Now virtual environment is a good way to isolate your development account from your system. So any changes done on your virtual environment will not impact your system settings. Now virtual env is installed. Now we'll use virtual env to create our first demo environment. We'll call it Ansible Demo 1. So syntax is first you need to mention virtual env and then your environment name. So in this case, it is Ansible Demo 1. Now to activate this environment, we need to use source. You need to provide an environment name like Ansible Demo 1. Then you need to activate using bin/activate. Okay, so now we are under Ansible Demo 1 environment. So now let's quickly install Ansible and we'll use pip this time. As we are installing the Ansible full version on this demo, as you can see, we have around 50 MB of file that is downloading. So we have successfully installed Ansible. Let's quickly check the version. So we have installed 2.17.6 on this environment. Now, the quick way to check, all those communities and modules which are part of this full version, you can use the Ansible doc command. It's a very handy command. Generally, we use Ansible doc command to see any documentation for a specific module, but you can also use Ansible doc -l, and this will give all those. This will show you the list of all those collections and modules. As you can see, we already have AWS installed. Then we have all those Ansible built-in, Windows, Arista EOS, AWX Azure, and similarly you should have Cisco. We have Checkpoint. Now we have Cisco ACI and many more. Let's do a quick count with WC word count. So as you can see, we have around 9008 modules. So we have installed full version on this machine. If you want to check quickly, all the collections name, you can use Ansible Galaxy command and do a list. So as you can see, we have Amazon.aws, Cisco.aci, Cisco.ios, and many more. Okay, so now let's move on. Now we'll deactivate this environment and we'll create one more environment. Now this time we'll use Ansible demo 2. We'll activate. If we do Ansible version, though we have installed Ansible in the other environment, but that will not impact to this environment. So we don't have any Ansible install in on this environment. So now this time we'll install Ansible Core. So we'll use pip install Ansible-core. And as you can see, this time it's only 2.2 MB of data. Last time it was around 50 MB. And if we do the same command like Ansible doc, before that let's check the version. So this time it has installed 2.18.0. Let's check Ansible doc -l. And as you can see, we only have the built-in modules. So we don't have all those uh, Amazon, Cisco, Checkpoint, and Arista, all those other vendors collection or modules. And if you do a quick word count, it has only 71. Earlier in the full version, it was 9008. So that's why this Ansible Core is a minimalist version of that particular full version. So hope you understand, the difference between Ansible Core and full. Now, suppose you have installed Ansible Core. Now you are going to work on network automation project, and you are going to manage Cisco devices, Cisco iOS devices using Ansible, and you need to install the collections for Cisco iOS. So in that case, as we mentioned earlier, we need to use Ansible Galaxy command, and then you can use Ansible Galaxy collection. Collection, then install cisco.ios. Now it will do a dependency map. It will check in the backend that for this particular collection, is there any dependency or not? If there are any dependencies, then those collection will also be installed as part of this installation. So as you can see, it has installed. Now if we do Ansible Galaxy collection and then list. So we have Cisco.ios and also the remaining two other dependencies of this particular collection. Okay, so we have seen the installation on both environment. Now let's deactivate this one. The next one is to install some older version. As you remember, these changes were done from version 2.10 only. So we'll try to install some older like Ansible 2.9 maybe. But this is not that straightforward because, as you know, Ansible has some dependency on Python, right? So the current Python version on this machine is, I believe, 3 dot something. So you have 3.12.3, right? But if I remember correctly, we need around Python 3.7 to install that Ansible 2.9. So what we can do, we'll not able to install directly. For that, we need to add some repository first. So I'll add that. Okay, let me do a quick sudo apt update as well. Now we'll install Python 3.7. Now this time when we'll create a virtual environment, we need to mention that we'll use Python 3.7, not the default one. Let's create Ansible demo 3 virtual environment. So we'll use virtual UNV, and then you need to pass the Python 3.7 path. So it is under user bin and then Ansible demo 3. It's giving some errors, but I believe okay, failed due to failing download setup tools. We need to install some packages. Let's do one thing. Let's install sudo apt install let's try this one. Let's try one more time. Okay, so this time it has created the environment Ansible demo 3. Let's activate. Let's quickly check the Python version just to make sure that we are running the correct version here. Yeah, so this is 3.7. Now let's install Ansible. And this time as we'll install 2.9, we need to specify the exact version here. 2.9.0. It's giving some errors for there's some error for this particular command. Let's install that package as well. So as you can see, right, it's not that straightforward to install the older version. But anyway, you will not require to install in your environment, so that's fine. This is just to understand how it looks like. Let's try. Okay, now we are able to install. So what I'm doing, I'm trying to activate one more, not new one. I mean, we'll activate the first environment as well, just to see the difference. So I'll do it Ansible doc in this first, in this on this environment. So Ansible is installed. Let's quickly verify the version. So as you can see, we have installed 2.9 here. Now, if we do Ansible doc here, did you see any difference? So from 2.10 onwards, the Ansible has introduced the FQCN, the fully qualified name. So fully qualified collection name. So earlier, if you see, it has only ACI, right? But now it will be Cisco dot some FQCN name, then you will have. So Cisco dot ACI, then ACI the module name. But before 2.10, it was just a module name. There was no namespace for any vendor specific. That was the major change I was trying to convey you. So this completes the demo. So you can also use this AWS instance if you are going to use, suppose, Cisco sandboxes, right? In that way, you don't need to install anything on your laptop. You can use AWS instance for your Ansible control node, and you can also use Cisco sandboxes for your managed nodes. In that way, there is no dependency on your laptop environment, right? Yeah, that's all for this video.